Hello there, my name's Shane Meadows. I'm the writer and director of This Is England, and I'm here to endorse the film Beestonia, Beestonia the movie. It's going to be fantastic.
Beaston, a mini metropolis slap bang in the middle centre of England. Beaston.
It's not about bees.
Beaston, where the sun always shines, the birds always sing, and its residents are as happy as bees and honey.
It's not about bees.
No, it's not about bees. Beeston has absolutely nothing to do with bees. Not a thing. It's much more prosaic than that.
It's actually about grass.
Beaston is the Old English for town of grass, which makes this, the Beeston Rylands, the southern reaches of town, literally town of grass, grasslands, or Grasstown, Grasstown. It takes its name in the pantheon of repetitive place names, with Bora Bora, Baden Baden, and New York, New York. All so good, they had to name them twice. And all are easily found on a tom-tom.
Rather than cause a case of semantic satiation, this only reinforces the fact. Beeston is indeed a green and pleasant land. Except that Beeston is also a place
which once belched smoke with all the industrial incontinence of its northern English neighbours.
The Anglo-Scotian mills were once the proud colossus of the skyline, the atlas that held up these local heavens. Now, as so many mills before and after, they've become
Gentrified, subject to a pervasive yuppie emasculation.
Doors closing. Doors opening.
Rows of flats adorned with IKEA, Habitat and idiots now stand where once industry and progress roared or buzzed. Atlas is defeated.
another major business, Plessy, come Ericsson's, come Siemens, come Marconi, once employed so many workers that they had their own bowling green, sports day, and their own cricket club. There were staff trips to the Lincolnshire coast and much more.
It was of such national importance, in fact, that in 1931, Mahatma Gandhi decided it was worthy of a visit. Gandhi had been imprisoned earlier that year and was a truly divisive figure. Workers were ordered not to cheer, and yet they universally doffed their caps as he made his way past them. After a brief look round, Gandhi made his way to Linden Grove, where his nephew was lodging.
In 1982, the definitive biopic of Gandhi was released. An epic of staggering proportion, it was filmed by Sir Richard Attenborough, whose ancestors hail from the village of Attenborough, which borders the Rylands.
And contains this, the flooded gravel pits that have become the Attenborough Nature Reserve. The reserve was opened in 1966 by Sir David Attenborough. Such things are not a coincidence. It would be folly to rush back to town while we're here. There are certain compulsory acts one must first carry out. 1. Take a picture of the church with the pond in the background. Later, develop it in monochrome and tell all your friends you're a bit of a photographer. 2. Harass or be harassed by a swan. Perhaps you could comment that they can break a man's arm. They can't. They won't. But be careful. Even the mallards here have homicidal tendencies. 3. Never venture more than 100 yards from your car. Park up, stroll the standard circuit, and then head home, convinced you've spent the day prowling the Serengeti. Indeed, this last has a ring of truth. In 2006, the reserve came 9th in a list of eco-world destinations, alongside a safari lodge in Kenya, an island in the Seychelles, and a research centre in Peru.
Attenborough is, however, possibly the only one of these to be home to a regicide. Regicides are a rare find, rarer than the bitterns, the penduline tits, or even the squacko herons that Bill Oddie types travel from miles around to glimpse in the reserve itself.
Our local king killer takes little tracking down, however. His former residence is marked by this blue plaque. We'll be seeing more of these later. This house was home to General Henry Ireton, Oliver Cromwell's son-in-law, who put his name to Charles I's death warrant in 1649. It is a testament to the area's famed dissenting nature. Think the Luddites. Think the frequent riots that swept through the nearby city. Think the burning down of Nottingham Castle when its owners voted against electoral reform in 1832. This history of dissent has led us to treat Ireton not with shame, but with a sort of chippy pride, naming streets and more after him and his more notorious father-in-law. Perhaps he'd prefer this civic legacy to the one which was given over at the time of the Restoration. Ireton and his fellow regicides were exhumed, their bodies mutilated, hanged at Tyburn, then decapitated, and their skulls placed on stakes outside Westminster Hall. I feel that in today's rather calmer climate, a blue plaque is maybe less passionate, less headstrong, but aesthetically more befitting the bucolic setting. Now, let's get back to business. Just down the road from here is where Boots took its first steps into what is now a global brand. Beestonian Jesse Boot was a man much in love with his town. Indeed, he donated vast swathes of then grassland to Beeston. Boots has kept its head office in Beeston, but its actual business address is in Zug.
Zug, a pretty little town in Switzerland, famed for its fine kirsch and for its cherry liqueur cake.
And perhaps more importantly, its tax haven status. Despite the town's unfortunate history of booms, busts and banking relocations, it remains a hive of historical endeavour. The local Blue Plaque Society has dedicated the last few years to ensuring that this isn't forgotten. Indeed, you could spend an entire day just trying to locate all the blue plaques they've erected, celebrating Beeston's enormous historical legacy. You might just need a map.
Visitors and budding Beestonians can look for plaques commemorating the Reverend Dr. John Clifford, evangelist who preached against sectarian bias in schools; William Thompson, aka Bendigo, prize-fighting bare-knuckle boxer; Edward Joseph Lowe, renowned astronomer and botanist; Henry Hurt, framework knitting pioneer; beloved TV star Richard Beckinsale of Porridge fame; William Wallet,
ex-circus entertainer who became the self-styled court jester to Queen Victoria in 1844. Queen's jesters, king killers, award-winning scientists, bare-knuckle boxers, philanthropists and businessmen all planted their grassroots here. It's a Beeston Walk of Fame.
Of course, there are plenty waiting to receive the honour. New resident filmmaker Shane Meadows will undoubtedly be one day memorialised in plaque form.
Because if it's absolutely horrific and I'm just saying it's going to be brilliant.
It'll be fine.
Or if his public persona goes too far awry, with a public hanging, decapitation and perhaps his head put on a spike. But that is for the future to decide. And what of the future? Well, I think you can guess that to find out, we'll have to take another ride to the past.
Thomas Henry Barton practically invented the concept of public bus travel in this country. A maverick, many people at the time labelled him as a madman. He was certainly a pioneer, setting up what many believe to be Britain's first ever bus company. Such was the immediate popularity of the buses, the tram scheme, which had been earmarked for Beeston, never materialised. Of course, some of his ideas were more out there than others. On to 1908, please.
During World War I, Barton created the first ever hydrogen-fuelled bus. The authorities were convinced it was too dangerous. Hydrogen is, of course, highly combustible. But Barton knew his science. If it caught light, it would harmlessly combust upwards. And this was just one of his many maverick ideas that propelled the bus into the new century.
The Beeston bus revolution was so effective that tram proposals rather came off track. And now, just 100 years later, the pendulum seems to have swung back in favour of the tram. The buses of yore have now been relegated to the status of beloved museum pieces. And all the while the town is carved up, disemboweled, and treated in a way not entirely dissimilar to that of our old friend, Henry Ireton. Whilst Bartons have long since changed their use from a bus depot to an entertainments venue, the tram's revenge has been felt. Bartons have been forced to close their doors for the foreseeable future.
Though one feels sure this match is far from the final whistle.
So is the tram Beeston's future? Whatever one's opinion, it's important not to get too carried away.
The tram has unquestionably changed the face of Beeston, and it's sure to give some passengers views that even few Beestonians have ever seen. It will become a veritable beeline from that central hive, Nottingham city centre, bringing whole new swarms of people to experience everything from past, present and future that this royal jelly of a town has to offer.
Old tram. So this is where we are now. We've come a long way from the meadows, the fields of rye, the green and pleasant land from which this all sprang. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? But what is Beeston about? Well, it's not about bees. I've hardly mentioned them. So you can see, Beeston isn't about bees.
All in a bag!
It's about people, places. When we step back, we can start to see the matrix, the interconnectedness of everything. And isn't it wonderful how we can draw a beeline through history, connecting all these people and events? We can see history isn't dead in the way it still resonates like a wavelength. It's rich and vibrant and busy in its own way. If we listen carefully, we can hear catches of what's coming. The building of the new tram is the clattering, indistinct and unformed sound of the future. It has not yet come into being. There's so much happening in Beeston. The past, present and future are colliding in the air and in the stones and in the grass, until all I can hear is a hum. Beeston. It's a hive of activity. It hums, but it's not about bees. In 1982, the definitive biopic of Gandhi was released. An epic of staggering proportion.
Hello there, my name's Shane Meadows. I'm the writer and director of This Is England, and I'm here to endorse. What am I supposed to say? Has the film got a title? Fully endorse, because I was just having my breakfast in there. Beestonia, the movie, which is coming soon. Seen it because if it's absolutely horrific, and I'm just saying it's going to be fantastic. You're going to let me, because obviously.
Greetings, my friends. My name is Robin Hood, and I heartily endorse this fine film about our great city of Nottingham.
It's Beaston, not Nottingham.
Beaston?
Beaston, yeah, it's a film about...
Beaston?
Yeah, Beaston.
You're on your own, pal.
Like so many mills before them and after,
Door
they have been
closing.
gentrified. Become...